Welcome to Biology for You. In this video, we are going to discuss chromosome binding. So, in the series of videos, we have been discussing different molecular biology concepts, and in this video, we are going to have the basic idea of what exactly the chromosome binding is and why it is important, and what are the different types of chromosome binding, followed by what are the advantages and disadvantages with these methods. So, coming to the first point. The chromosome binding, what exactly is it? So, chromosome binding, as name indicates, we are going to have the banding pattern on the chromosomes. So, this is one of the method which employs to get the longitudinal differentiation of the lengthwise differentiation on the chromosomes. So basically this represents the metaphase structure of the chromosome. So basically in the metaphase, the chromosome or maybe the DNA in the chromosome will be highly condensed, tightly packed into the form of this metaphase chromosome, and the DNA is already duplicated. That means there are two chromatids present on each chromosome. So this is all about the metaphase chromosome in which the DNA is highly organized and packed, tightly packed. So the chromosome banding patterns are the techniques which can identify, which are employed to make longitudinal differentiation on the chromosome. That means, so in order to understand the structural and functional aspects of the chromosomes, we employ either karyotyping or chromosome banding. So based on the karyotyping, based on the lengths of the chromosomes and their relative positions of the centromeres, in the karyotyping we classify the chromosomes. But in order to understand the chromosomes, to understand different regions present on each chromosome, we need to go for this chromosome banding techniques. So in the chromosome banding techniques, we employ some dyes, either chemical dye or maybe fluorescent dye, to stain the chromosome, and such bands will be obtained. So either dark light differentiation or maybe bright and dull kind of bands will be appeared on the chromosome lengthwise. So here a band, this is a band, this is again a band, all these are bands, this is light, this is dark, and the band is nothing but the portion of the DNA which can be distinguished from the adjacent portion on the chromosome. So that is what the banding is. Such banding pattern on the chromosomes can be visualized using this chromosome banding techniques. So these are the techniques which can differentiate different regions of the chromosomes. So basically the purpose of banding, why we need to make such differences, why we need to see such differences, such banding patterns on the chromosomes. So coming to that point, what is the importance of the chromosome banding? Chromosome banding techniques are basically employed to understand the different regions present on the chromosome, so that the structural and some of the functional aspects of the chromosomes will be revealed. So different regions of the chromosomes will be visually understood by the chromosome banding techniques. So coming to the second importance or the advantage of these chromosome banding techniques are basically by employing this chromosome banding technique, we can reveal the any possible aberrations on the chromosome. That means any chromosome abnormalities, whether it may be a number abnormality or maybe the rearrangements that happen due to mutations. So that kind of aberrations will also be revealed using these chromosome banding techniques in a sample. So maybe that may be a deletion or maybe addition addition of some region, or maybe simply a translocation. So such rearrangements can be revealed. Such abnormalities present in the chromosomes can be revealed using this chromosome banding techniques. So the other advantage of this method of these banding techniques are we can confirm the evolutionary relationships between the species. So evolutionary relationships among the species will be revealed. That means will be confirmed. So, say for example, the banding patterns of the human and its relatives will be more or less similar. That means the chimpanzee, ape, and man. So all these are having similar banding patterns. So coming to the reptiles and mammalian. So reptiles have the reptiles are suitable for the different banding techniques. And coming to the mammalians, these are suitable for the different types of banding techniques, chromosome banding techniques. The chromosome banding techniques which are used to stain the mammalian chromosome techniques are not same for the reptiles. That means that is the other variation we can see among the different divisions. So by this, these chromosome banding patterns are basically evolutionary conserved among the species. So that is the other purpose of it. Coming to the last, the next purpose, basically these chromosome banding techniques are also used for the diagnosis or molecular identification of the cancers. Say for example, the chromosome translocation between 9 and 22 chromosomes, which is Philadelphia, which causes myelogenic leukemia. So this myelogenic leukemia can be identified or diagnosed using this chromosome banding techniques. This is a best example for the cancer diagnosis. So using this chromosome banding techniques, these are the basic advantages of these chromosome banding techniques. Coming to the next point, what are the different types of chromosome banding techniques? At least for our understanding, basic understanding, and there are popularly G banding, Q banding, R banding, C banding, N banding. So these are the basic types of chromosome banding techniques. And coming to the banding techniques, basically how do they produce such differences? So as we discussed, either we employ a chemical dye or maybe a fluorescent dye. So we can employ the dyes that are used to stain the chromosomes are either chemical or fluorescent, and the types of the bands are basically depend upon the dye. If you employ fluorescent dye, the bright and dull bands will be appeared, and the chemical dyes will produce dark and light bands. So here any kind of dye generally make difference on the chromosome based on the either differentiating between the AT GC regions or maybe differentiating between the heterochromatin and euchromatin regions. So based on these euchromatin heterochromatin difference in the sequences on the chromosome or maybe ATGC richness of the chromosomes, all these dyes will make these banding patterns on the chromosomes. So coming to the what are the different dyes which make such differences in the chromosomes. So coming to the first one, that is G banding. G here, which is G indicates GIMSA. G stands for the GIMSA dye, which is a chemical dye, and here this is most popular method of chromosome staining, and here the chromosome will be first treated with a protease to degrade all of its proteins, and then the GIMSA dye is employed to the sample to stain its DNA. The dark and light bands will be appeared. So here the dark bands will indicate the AT rich regions, and here the light bands on the chromosomes indicates the GC rich regions of the chromosome. So likewise the GIMSA band will produce the banding pattern on the chromosome. That is what the G banding is. So coming to the advantages of this method, basically this GIMSA staining is widely used, one of the very popular method. Hence the dye is chemical, we need not to go for expensive fluorescent microscopic techniques to visualize this banding pattern. And coming to the disadvantage of this method is not suitable for the plant chromosomes. So basically this is not suitable for the plant chromosome staining because the length of the plant mitotic chromosomes at their metaphase are not suitable for the G banding. So G banding cannot induce such banding patterns, cannot distinguish AT and GC rich regions in the short chromosomes. So this is the major disadvantages of the G banding techniques. So coming to the next type of banding technique, that is Q banding. So here the Q stands for quinacrine. So here Q for quinacrine, which is the fluorescent dye that is employed in the Q banding. So it is having two forms. Either we can use fluoroquinacrine mustard. Either we can use this fluoroquinacrine mustard or we can also use dihydroquinacrine chloride. So these are the two dyes that are used in Q banding. So here basically these dyes will go and intercalate between the base pairs of the DNA. So they can go and bind between the AT regions much higher than the GC regions. So here based on that point they produce bright and dull bands. Here the bright band indicates the AT rich regions of the chromosome, and the dull bands are representing the GC rich regions present on the chromosome, because AT regions are having lesser hydrogen bonds between the base pairs, so that the dye will go and bind between them. The intercalation will be higher than the GC rich regions. So here the GC quenching will be takes place in the Q banding. So coming to the next point, basically there are other types of dyes which are also make such similar patterns, similar banding patterns like Q banding. So the other dyes which acts in a similar manner are Hochst 33258 and DAPI and Danomycin. These are the other dyes which acts in the similar, which produce similar bands with the Q banding. So basically all these dyes are to distinguish or to produce dark bands in the AT rich region similar to this Q banding and Z banding. But here these two, DAPI and Hochst, are employed to get AT rich bands, but the GC quenching here is less. So we cannot differentiate between light and bright and dull bands. They are not very simply distinguishable than the on comparison with the Q banding. So here the GC quenching will be low. We cannot simply differentiate or distinguish two adjacent bands using these two dyes. So these two are not very popular. And coming to the other, the Danomycin, where the GC quenching is high, that means the difference between the GC and AT rich regions are high, due to which the very particular banding pattern will be obtained using the Danomycin dye. So these are the basic dyes that are used to distinguish AT and GC rich regions. So coming to the different advantages and disadvantages of Q banding. So leaving these auxiliary dyes, coming back to the Q banding technique, in which the banding pattern will be like this, and coming to the advantages and disadvantages of this method. So we can find the chromosomal aberrations and heterogeneity. Of the chromosomes, and also we can find the chromosomal aberrations similar to the other kind of banding patterns. So coming to the major disadvantages of this method, here is basically it is expensive method. Q banding is expensive because of its employment of the fluorescent microscopic techniques, and the bands will be rapidly go off, that means that will be faded away. So over the time the bands will be fade out. So because of this rapid fading of the bands, we need to take image as soon as it produced. So that is the way it is resolved. So this is all about the Q banding. Coming to the next type of banding, that is R banding. Here R stands for the reverse banding. That means it is reverse process to the G banding. So here The chromosomes are basically treated with acidic saline solution, which is hot. So due to this treatment, the denaturation will happen. And these kind of denatured products will be treated with Giemsa dye, similar to the G banding. So here the dark and light bands will be appeared, and here the dark bands represents the GC rich regions, where only the hydrogen bonds will be retained even after the light denaturation, and the GC band will retain the dye and produce dark bands. And here very light bands, that may be because of the AT rich regions will be appeared using this reverse banding technique. So using this is the particular type of G banding technique, one of the applications of G banding. And using this, we can, the advantage of this banding technique is we can see the difference between we can find the dark GC bands in this method. So the other dye which used in the similar way with the reverse banding is actinomycin D. So this dye will really act similar to the R banding. It produces same bands similar to the R banding, and the full name is amino. Actually, it is amino actinomycin D. So it acts similar to the R banding. So that is all about the R banding, in which GC bands are dark and AT bands are light. So coming to the next type of banding, that is C banding. Here C banding, this is a banding technique in which the heterochromatin and euchromatin will be distinguished. Here this banding technique will be employed as basically the chromosomes will be denatured and again they renatured slightly, and then Giemsa dye will be employed to make the banding pattern. So here the denaturation will happen using alkaline treatment, and the renaturation will be happen using sodium citrate at 60 degrees temperature. So slightly they will be renatured. So here during the denaturation, the heterochromatin and euchromatin present in the chromosome will all be separated, and during the renaturation the heterochromatin regions will only be renatured but not the euchromatin region. So here the dark and light bands will be appeared. This dark band indicates the constitutive heterochromatin, and the light bands indicates the euchromatin regions present in the chromosome. So in this way the C banding will be carried. Here the repetitive DNA present in the So basically in this the repetitive DNA present in the heterochromatin, because in the heterochromatin the DNA will be in repetitive form, that may be highly repetitive or moderately repetitive. So due to these repeats they can easily recombined. The complementary sequences, the complementary strands will go and renature rapidly than the euchromatin region, which are unique sequences present, in which unique sequences are mostly predominant. So because of that phenomena, the C banding will make the dark heterochromatin or constitutive heterochromatin regions, and the light band indicated by the euchromatin regions. So coming to the advantages and disadvantages of this method, basically there are many advantages of this method. We can find the paternity, we can find out the paternity and bivalence, and to identify insects, plant. So this method is suitable for the visualizing the chromosomes of the insects and plants as well, because the repetitive DNA will be higher in them. So that is the main advantage of C banding technique. We can find the evolutionary relationships either. So these are the advantages of the C banding technique. Coming to the last one, that is N banding. So here using this N banding we are going to stain the nucleolar organizing region, or NOR simply. So here basically this stain all over the chromosome, but mostly to identify nucleolar organizing region present in the chromosome we'll be going for this N banding technique. So basically the chromosomes are treated with TCA, that means TCA, that means trichloro acetic acid. So the sample will be treated with this TCA at 95 degrees centigrade for 30 minutes, followed by 0.1 normal HCl treatment will be given to the sample at 60 degrees for 30 minutes again. For 30 minutes, so that here using this method TCA and 0.1 normal HCl treatment, here we are going to stain the non-histone proteins. So by treating with the non-histone proteins, this dye will go and bind to the non-histone proteins present in the chromosome, so that the NOR regions will be recognized. So this is the beauty of the N banding technique. So the main advantage of this method is basically this N banding is suitable for the plants. So these are the basic types of the banding techniques. So there are some subsets of banding techniques. For example, there is something called T banding. So this is basically T banding is subset of the an R banding or reverse banding. That means during the reverse banding technique, so during this reverse banding or R banding technique, if the treatment is much more harsh, that means in the reverse banding basically we'll go for denaturation of the chromosome. We'll denature the chromosome to obtain GC rich regions which are stained darker than the than this AT rich regions. If we go for much higher or the strong treatments to denature the sample, then we can obtain this T banding, in which the regions which will retain the dye will be only the repetitive sequences. So the repetitive GC sequences will obtain dye higher than the all remaining sequences. So this kind of repetitive DNA will be mostly present in the telomere. So half of the darker bands will be obtained in the positions of the telomeres. In the case of T banding, in which the denaturation will be higher than the R banding. So due to the harsh denaturation, only the regions where there are repetitive sequences, those retain the dye, and half of the portion of those, that kind of darker bands will be appeared on the telomeres, hence the name given T banding. So these are the basic banding techniques for our understanding, and in this video we discussed what are the different types of banding techniques and what exactly the banding technique is and why we need such banding techniques. So hope you understand the video, and if you really like it, share and subscribe to my channel.